Right from the word go, you could see how serious this was for a number of reasons. The earthquake in Turkey and Syria, the fact that it was such a big earthquake, that it was in... it's very cold, the buildings weren't strong enough to withstand it, and you've got, in Syria, an area of conflict anyway, so it's proving to be virtually impossible for aid to get in.
It's the scale of it as well. We had a reporter on from Turkey on LBC yesterday who was saying that it's the size of the area of Bulgaria that is affected by this earthquake. 13 million people live in the area affected. The early estimates are some 17,500 buildings have collapsed.
Oh, my God.
So the number of people that are thought to have died already across Turkey and Syria is heading north of 10,000. The World Health Organization say it could get up to 20,000, plus the number of people injured, plus the number of people trapped. And you're getting these... I mean, the image that is on the front page of a lot of papers this morning of a dad holding the hand of his
We've decided not
girl.
to show that picture,
I can understand,
it is absolutely heartbreaking. He's sitting in the rubble and all you see is his daughter's, teenage daughter, dead daughter's hand.
I mean, at least we are getting footage of babies being pulled out of the rubble. There are people whose lives are now being saved. We, the United Kingdom, have sent people who specialise in this to help. But every reporter in the area is saying, oh, my gosh, this is terrible. It's freezing cold. The weather couldn't be worse. There are areas of Syria that nobody can get to give any help. In Turkey, they had a £4 billion earthquake fund and nobody really knows what happened to the money because obviously these buildings have not been shored up or earthquake-proof. It's, you know, the scale of it is just incomprehensible,
but it's also
really, isn't it?
The timing, because it was in the very, very early hours of the morning, and so people were in bed. It's not as even if many people were out of their homes at work, they would have been tucked up in bed.
Absolutely. And there were two major earthquakes, one after the other, about 60 seconds in total. And you think of the scale of the damage, the lives lost in 60 seconds.
I know.
It's horrible. You look at those images, particularly anything with children, and you just think, right, what can we do? And you know, people are saying, do we send clothes? Do we send supplies? Do we send this? But really, the best thing to do is send money, isn't it?
Yes, money to the right charity, to the legitimate place. Don't just give it to anyone. You know, check very carefully who you're giving it to. But if anyone's got any money, and obviously these are difficult times for everybody here as well. But if anybody who can afford to spare a few pounds, this is the moment to do it, I think.
Police have urged the public not to take the law into their own hands in their search for Nicola Bulley, who went missing 12 days ago. Lancashire Constabulary told amateur detectives, I can't believe how stupid some people are, not to abuse witnesses or attempt to break into empty or derelict buildings along the River Wire near where she disappeared. They're looking at 500 active pieces of information.
I agree. I mean, I just think how stupid are some people to think that this is something that they feel that they can get involved in, however amateur a detectorist you think you might be. The idea of getting on a boat and starting to go down the river where the police divers are looking, you just think, just ease off, let the police do their job, let the dive team do their job.
Happening?
I don't know. I don't know whether it's this constant box set diet of detective mystery, you know, horrible police series with dead bodies as the central thing. I mean, I think maybe people are so inundated with that kind of imagery, so used to it, because you watch one after another, people are fascinated by it, and they sort of think, oh, actually, well, hang on, I bet I could. You know, I'd be better than the police, better than the detectives, better than the specialists who know how to do this. That is absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? You've got to be able to place yourself as somebody sitting on the sofa who doesn't know the first thing about this and stay on the sofa.
There are ways of helping. We've seen people hold up placards saying missing call 101. You know, and that's if you can do it in conjunction with the police or with the family, if you know them, or friends of the family, fine. But the idea of people, as you say, going out on a boat and sort of getting stuck in where the police are getting... There's a family here who haven't seen... Those two girls haven't seen their mum in nearly 2 weeks. They are the ones that need to be thought of, and just let the police do their work.
But also all the friends who said, could people please stop speculating and posting incredibly hurtful suggestions online and everything else? It's breaking everybody's hearts. Stop it. People must stop it. But I think that there is a link, unfortunately, between people getting off the sofa and getting in boats and trying to break into buildings to try to solve this crime, and the next story about David Carrick and the sentencing. Because when trust in the police is at an all-time low, and when you keep getting headlines telling you, if your house is broken into, nothing will be done. If your bike's stolen, nothing will be done. You know, if you've been sexually assaulted, you know, it's very difficult to be able to trust that the police will take you seriously. These kinds of headlines. I think that contributes to a feeling that the police aren't doing their job properly. So, hey, I'm going to get up, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, or get off the sofa and try and find Nicola.
Yeah,
I think that's a connected thing. And that makes it very difficult because you think, well, how are the media supposed to cover these awful stories of police corruption and police failing in a way that doesn't contribute to people thinking they should take the law into their own hands? It's very closely linked, isn't it?
He was accused of 85 offences and was convicted of a range of others, including more than 20 rapes against 12 women. 30 years is what he was sentenced to. Many people saying, quite simply, not enough.
Inadequate.
Well, I think people can come to their own judgment about what they feel is enough. You might feel he ends up spending the rest of his life behind bars, and he may well do. You know, if in 30-plus years, if the parole board look at him and say, you are still, as the judge suggested yesterday, a massive danger to women, then he won't be released at all.
Is that because it wasn't a murder
Yes,
case?
it's partly because it wasn't a murder.
They sort of, it's almost like the judge
and it's partly because there's this kind of discount system if you plead guilty.
Yeah.
And because he pleaded guilty, he gets 20% less, a shorter sentence. And I had a senior policeman on my programme yesterday saying, this is appalling. It's not some kind of deal you're doing on a market stall.
No.
You know, want my bid, you know, let's lower the offer and lower the sentence if you plead guilty. In cases like this, that shouldn't be taken into account. Or if it should be a minimal difference, not 20% shorter sentence.
Well, I get the taking into account, because the idea, as the judge said yesterday, the idea of if he says, you know, I'm innocent, the whole trial process for the women who were his victims is incredibly tough. Why not find a way of trying not to put them through that process and offer something? And I agree about the 20%. I agree about the 20%.
85 crimes, which are so appalling. I'm not going to describe them. They are hideous. And also one of the worst abuses of power I've ever heard of in my entire life.
The damage he's done.
You know, so it doesn't feel enough, does it?
Let's...
it really doesn't, no.
Let's lighten the mood. Well, I say lighten the mood. Having had the first, you know, sort of 6 or 7 minutes that we chatted here, nearly half of Brits can't remember their last laugh, a study has found. 42% of Brits admitted that they can't remember the last time they laughed out loud, according to a survey carried out by Sky. 69% of Brits feel there is a lot less to laugh about these days. That is absolutely true. So if you find something to laugh at...
It still really surprises me, though, because I think we've got this fantastic gallows humour in this country. You know, when things are really tough, you know, when you can't afford to turn the heating on, you know, when your other half's left you or you've left them, when the car won't start, we normally laugh. I mean, haven't you been, by this time in your life, to enough funerals where on the way back from actually burying your dearly beloved, people make jokes on the way back? Because that's how we survive in this country. I don't believe it's true that we don't laugh.
No, I agree.
You've got to find something that makes you laugh.
Yeah.
Did you find
man, the French TV thing.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
this
this is just
is
infectious.
fantastic.
This is incredible.
They have unusual laughs.
I mean, this is what you'd expect to happen. They've all got horrendous laughs, and they all set each other off. And it doesn't matter that you can't speak French particularly well.
It's been scientifically proved, doesn't it? If you see somebody laughing, it makes you laugh, even if you have no idea what they're laughing
I don't know what
about.
they do with the rest of the show.
They don't need to do anything else.
What's with your knock joke, for God's sake?
Something that made a lot of people... some people that laughed a lot in the 1970s of Fawlty Towers. One of the episodes was actually shot in this very studio. It's to be apparently revived after more than 40 years, with John Cleese set to star alongside his daughter. He's 83 now. He's going to be Basil Fawlty again, apparently. There has, of course, been discussion about whether some of the jokes from the original series would be too outdated and inappropriate.
Yes.
I mean, I don't want to sound
I'd say.
as curmudgeonly as Basil Fawlty, but I just don't see it. Do you see it?
I don't know how it's going. I mean,
so good.
John Cleese has become a very crusty old curmudgeonly fellow in real life. If you ever want someone to say something really annoying or something really kind of bad-humoured, he's your guy for that. So, you know, whether he's going to be lovable enough or the person we love to hate, God knows. But I'm not sure how funny it was in the first place.
Well, it was also it did used to make me laugh. I've got to put my hand up and say it made me laugh. But hitting the car with the branch was, you know, we've all felt like that. But it also is very, very physical.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he won't be able to be quite as physical, I wouldn't have thought that he was then.
Maybe he will, who knows?
Well,
Maybe he's got a lot of anger
interesting.
to get out. Maybe he'll be very physical. I would like to see how they, you know, adjust it to the current situation in life, because those sorts of seaside hotels where basically you got bullied by the owner and, you know, you got steamed cabbage for every meal and the bed was uncomfortable, those don't still exist anymore,
Don't do it. Don't ruin it.
Oh, don't.
Don't ruin it. It was of its time, of its moment. It was fantastic. It was great. It was a, you know, absolute institution.
I know.
Leave it be.
I'm inclined
John.
to agree,
Thank
but it might surprise us.